The room was dark and cold. The walls were made of black stone, and the air smelled like smoke and oil. In the center of the room was a cage. Inside it, a little human girl sat quietly. Her name was Lena. She was only 7 years old. Her face was dirty, and her small hands held tightly to the bars of the cage. Her big brown eyes watched the strange creatures moving around her. They were tall, strong, and ugly. Their skin was gray and rough like old metal. Their red eyes glowed in the dark. They had sharp teeth and claws. These monsters were called the Zarnok. The Zarnok were feared across the galaxy. They did not like peace. They did not talk much. They only liked to conquer, destroy, and eat. They had attacked Lena's colony ship weeks ago. Her mother died during the attack. Her father didn't know where he was. Maybe he was dead, maybe not. A large Zarnok walked closer to her cage. He was called Goran, the warden of the fortress. His mouth opened wide, showing long, wet teeth. "She is small," he growled, "but full of life. A good one for the feast." The other Zarnok around him laughed. The sound was cruel, like broken metal grinding together. Lena did not cry. She had cried too much already. Now she just sat still and waited. "She's not scared," one of the monsters said. "Strange." "She should be," Goran hissed. "No one is coming to save her. She is alone." Lena slowly looked up at him. Voice was soft but strong. "He's coming to rescue me," she said. The room went quiet for a moment. Goran leaned closer to the cage, his face angry. "Who?" he asked. "Who is this?" Lena smiled a little. It was a brave smile, even with fear in her heart. "My dad." Zarnok laughed again, louder this time. "Your father is dust," Goran said, "dead like the others." Lena didn't reply. She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "He's coming." Far across the stars, on a quiet green planet, a man stood on a mountain. His name was Commander Jacob Rourke. He wore old armor that was scratched and faded. His face had a long scar, and his eyes looked like stone. He was once one of the best soldiers in the Terran Defense Corps group, made to protect human colonies in space. But he had left that life behind. He had gone into hiding after the Zarnok destroyed his home. After they took Lena, everyone thought she was gone. But now, he had a message, a secret one. A whisper sent by a friendly trader from deep space. It said one human child is still alive, captive on Zarnok World 12. Possible ID, Lena Rourke. Rourke held the message tight in his hand. His heart pounded. His little girl, alive? He looked up at the stars. "I'm coming," he said. Inside a hidden base, Rourke met with an old friend named Captain Nyla. It's one of the few people he still trusted. "You can't do this alone," she said. "The Zarnok planet is a death zone." "I don't care. They'll kill you." "They already killed everything that mattered to me," Rourke replied. Nyla sighed. She handed him a small silver key. "This unlocks a prototype stealth dropship. It's fast, silent, built for infiltration. No weapons. Just you. That's all I need." Rourke prepared his gear, his old armor, a pulse rifle, explosives, a combat knife. One picture of Lena. He stared at the photo for a long time. "Hold on, Peanut," he whispered. "Daddy's coming?" Back in the dark fortress, Lena sat in her cage. The ground rumbled. "What was that?" a Zarnok soldier asked. Another boom. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Just mining activity," Goran growled. Nothing to fear, but Lena knew better. She opened her eyes and smiled again. "He's here." The stars moved quickly around the small black dropship. It flew silently through space like a shadow. Inside, Commander Jacob Rourke sat in the pilot's seat.
Yes.
His hands were steady, his eyes sharp. The ship was called Ghost Talon. It was made for speed and stealth. Perfect for one mission. Perfect for one man. He checked the location again. The Zarnok homeworld was still far away, but the ship was fast. Soon he would be there. Soon he would see his daughter again. Rourke looked at the small photo stuck to his screen. It showed Lena smiling in the sun, holding a toy bear. That photo was all he had left of her. "They took everything," he said to himself. "But they won't keep you. 3 days earlier, deep in the Terran command base on Mars, Rourke had walked into the war room after many years in hiding. The officers were shocked to see him. "Commander Rourke," one asked. "We thought you were dead." "I should be," Rourke replied. "But I got a message. My daughter is alive." The room went quiet. General stepped forward. "We confirmed the signal. One human child is held on Zarnok Prime, but that world is a fortress. No rescue team would survive." "I don't need a team," Rourke said. "Just clearance for the Ghost Talon." The general looked at him hard. "That ship was made for Black Ops. You're asking for a suicide mission?" Rourke stared back, calm and cold. "I'm not asking." Now, back inside the Ghost Talon, Rourke opened a metal case. Inside were weapons, armor pieces, and old medals. He ignored the medals. He picked up his black battle armor. It was old, but strong. He checked every part, every plate, every wire, every seal. Then he put it on. Next, he picked up a small necklace from the case. It was Lena's pink with a tiny star pendant. He placed it in his chest pocket. "Stay with me," he whispered. Meanwhile, on Zarnak Prime, the alien soldiers were nervous. Something was wrong. The ground had shaken earlier. A scout tower had gone dark. A patrol had not returned from the west side of the jungle. Warden Goran shouted at his warriors, "Search every path. Something is moving out there." Were powerful, but they were not smart. They had no idea a human was already inside their world. Rourke had landed 2 hours ago. He had jumped from the Ghost Talon before it could be detected. The ship now floated far above in low orbit, hidden. He moved through the jungle like a shadow. His armor made no sound. Its visor showed heat signatures, motion, and enemy locations. His knife was ready at the edge of a rocky cliff to Zarnok. Soldiers stood guard. Rourke waited in the trees. 1 second, 2, he moved, like lightning. He dropped from a branch, silent as a ghost. His knife cut fast. 1 guard fell. The second tried to shout, but Rourke grabbed his mouth and ended it quickly. He dragged the bodies into the bushes. No alarms. Good in the fortress. Lena sat on the cold floor of her cage. She heard a loud noise. Something. Distant. Like a small explosion. She smiled. "He's getting closer." She whispered as Zarnok walked past her cage and kicked the bars. "Stop talking to yourself, little meat." Lena stared at him. "You're going to be sorry," the alien growled. "No one makes the Zarnok sorry." An hour later, Rourke reached an outpost. A steel tower stood tall, watching the valley. 2 more guards patrolled below it. He placed small charges at the base of the tower, then moved back. Boom. The explosion dropped the tower like a tree. The guards screamed. Rourke was already behind them. 1 shot. 2 shots. Clean. Quick. Quiet. He walked to the tower remains and looked inside. A broken panel. It had a map. Rourke studied it. "Lena's cell is in the lower chambers," he said. "Deep inside the mountain." Sent a small encrypted signal back to the Ghost Talon. It would relay the message to Nyla. Message sent. "I'm in." Multiple. Guards. Fortress deeper than expected. Girl is alive. Continuing mission. At the edge of space, Nyla read the message and smiled. "Still alive?" she said. "Of course you are." She pressed a button and set the ship into watch mode, ready in case he needed pickup back on the ground. Rourke ran through old tunnels using dark paths and broken shafts. He avoided the cameras and sensors. He had trained for this. He had lived for this. He stopped in a small room and opened a supply box. Inside were alien weapons and food packs. He took a small energy bomb and placed it in his belt. Then he found a video screen. It showed the lower prison area. And there she was, Lena, in a cage. Alive, his hands tightened into fists. His breath became sharp. "I'm close," he whispered. He pulled out the pink necklace from his pocket. "Just hold on, Peanut. I'm almost there." The sky above Zarnok Prime turned dark as black smoke rose from the forest. Fire burned where the tower once stood. The Zarnok soldiers ran in panic. They had never been attacked like this before. Warden Gorin stood at the top of the fortress wall. His claws gripped the stone tightly. "This is not a normal raid," he growled. "This is something else." One of his guards came running. "More scouts are missing. We found strange cuts on the bodies. Clean, fast. Not our weapons." Gorin turned and bared his teeth. Deep in the mountain tunnels, Commander Rourke kept moving. His black armor was dusty. His rifle was ready. His visor showed enemy paths, maps, and motion lines. He was close now. Every time a Zarnak came too near, he disappeared them quietly. No noise, no mess. He was just one man, but he moved like a ghost. Inside her cage, Lena sat quietly. She could hear distant blasts now. The ground shook again. She looked up at the ceiling. The guard outside her cage was nervous. "It's just a drill," he said to himself. Lena tilted her head.
"Oh.
"Do drills leave fire in the sky?" Didn't answer. Lena smiled. "He's coming." In a long hallway, Rourke stepped over another Zarnak body. He placed a small charge on a side door, then waited behind cover. Boom. The door blew inward. Smoke filled the air. 2 guards inside were knocked down. Rourke rushed in before they could rise. One quick hit with the rifle, the other with a punch to the head. Both were down. He searched the room, maps, weapons, and a communication terminal. Rourke typed fast into the system using stolen codes. He found camera feeds. Then he saw Lena's cage on the lower floor. She looked thin but alive. He stared at the screen for a long second. Then his face turned hard again. "I'm coming, baby girl." Back at the fortress entrance, the Zarnak guards were shouting and locking doors. Gorin barked orders. "Seal all paths. Set the beast units loose. Find him." One soldier pointed at the screens. He sent a message. "What message?" Video began playing. Rourke's voice came through, calm, low, and clear. "To the leaders of this place, you took my daughter. You think you're monsters. But I've fought worse. You have one chance. Let her go, or I will come through every wall, burn every room, and tear down this fortress. Release the girl and maybe I'll let a few of you crawl away." Right. Gorin smashed the screen. "Find him now." Lena heard the voice too. The message had played across all prison speakers. Her eyes filled with tears. Happy tears. "He really came," she whispered. "He's really here." The Zarnak guard in front of her cage now looked worried. His hands shook. He grabbed a stun rod. "You're just a child," he said, trying to be brave. "He won't get past us." But Lena just sat taller. "He always gets through." Inside the fortress walls, chaos began. Explosions shook the halls. The lights flickered. Screams echoed. The beast unit's giant alien war animals were released from their cages. They ran through the stone tunnels, sniffing for human scent, but Rourke was ready. He waited inside a narrow chamber. As the first beast entered, he threw a grenade under its feet. It exploded with a bright flash. The beast screamed and fell. 2 more came charging. Rourke jumped, rolled, and fired his rifle at their weak points. His shots were perfect. They dropped within seconds. He took a deep breath, wiped his visor, and kept going. 1 man. 1 mission. No backup. Back in the command room, Gorin yelled at the guards. "Why haven't you stopped him? He's cutting through every defense. He's just human." But the guards didn't answer. They were scared now. Another boom came from below. Yes. Smoke rose through the vents. A guard shouted. "He's reached the prison level." Lena looked around. Her cage rattled again from another explosion. The guard ran away, leaving her alone. She heard heavy footsteps coming closer. But not the slow, loud steps of the Zarnak. These were sharp, fast. Sure, then dash silence. Lena stood up and grabbed the bars. "Daddy," she said. A figure stepped from the smoke. Tall, armored in black. A glowing blue visor covered his face. He raised his hand and opened the cage with a code. Lena's eyes went wide. Daddy Rourke dropped to one knee and opened his arms. "Hey, Peanut." She ran to him and hugged him tight. He held her close, his strong arms wrapping around her small body. "I knew you'd come." she whispered. I told you I would. He said, I always keep my promise. But they weren't safe yet. Rourke stood up and scanned the room. More enemies would be coming. Gave Lena a small ear device. Put this on. Stay close. Do what I say. She nodded and put it on. Are we going home now? She asked. Not yet, he said. First we burn this place down. He handed her a small silver cube. What's this? She asked. He smiled. The key to making them regret everything. Then they ran. The walls of the Zarnok fortress shook again. Red lights flashed. Sirens screamed across the halls. Smoke filled the air as fire spread from room to room. Soldiers ran in panic, searching for the intruder. But he was always one step ahead. Commander Rourke moved fast, holding his daughter's hand. Lena stayed close, her small legs trying hard to keep up. She didn't cry. She didn't complain. Her father was here, and she trusted him completely. They passed broken walls, burned bodies, and fallen towers. Every corner of the fortress looked like a war zone. Are we close? Lena asked. Almost, Rourke said. The exit tunnel is just ahead. We still have company. Back in the command room, Warden Goran slammed his claws against the wall. He has the child, he roared. Send every guard. Seal every gate. One frightened soldier replied, He is heading to the Lower East Tunnel. If he escapes, we'll lose them both, Goran growled. I want him stopped. Use the fire traps, use everything. Another soldier added the girl. She might be carrying something. What? A silver cube? We saw it on the cameras. Some kind of device. Goran's eyes widened. That's human tech. A bomb, maybe. He plans to destroy the fortress. He shouted, Find them now. Rourke and Lena reached a broken stairway. Fire blocked the main path, so he lifted her onto his shoulder and jumped across a cracked beam. Below them was a deep drop into darkness. Lena held tight to his neck. Daddy, I'm scared. I know, he said. But I've got you. They landed safely on the other side. More guards were waiting. 6 tall Zarnok soldiers with blades in their hands. Rourke placed Lena behind a wall. Stay down, he said calmly. And cover your ears. Lena obeyed without question. Rourke stepped into the open. The Zarnok charged. He moved like lightning. A blade came toward him. He ducked and kicked the attacker into the fire. Another swung high, Rourke blocked it with his arm guard and punched the soldier in the jaw. One by one, they fell. 2 tried to run. Rourke threw a flash bomb and knocked them out with clean, quiet strikes. Lena peeked from behind the wall. Wow, she whispered. Rourke smiled. Keep going. They entered a wide metal hallway. At the far end was the main tunnel gate, the last barrier before freedom. But it was locked. Can you open it? Lena asked. Not yet, Rourke said. He opened a control box and began typing quickly. Sparks flew out as the system tried to fight back. Then came a loud sound clang. A giant gate at the back opened, not the one they needed. Instead, a huge creature stepped out. It was 10 feet tall, armored in black and red, its glowing green eyes and a double blade in each hand. The Zarnok elite guard. Lena gasped. What is that? Rourke stepped in front of her.
Oh.
That's the last mistake they'll ever make. Elite guard charged forward. Rourke dodged to the side, rolled, and fired his rifle. The bullets bounced off the armor. He tried again, still no effect. The monster slashed at him. Rourke blocked one hit, but the second blade cut his side. Stumbled, but stayed on his feet. He threw a shock bomb. It hit the elite guard in the chest. Sparks flew, and the giant staggered. Rourke ran forward and jumped onto its back. He stabbed a knife into the armor's weak joint. The beast screamed and slammed into the wall to shake him off. Rourke fell hard, but he kept fighting the monster. Raised both blades. Suddenly dash clicked. Lena stood behind it, holding the silver cube. She pressed a button. Boom. A strong energy pulse blasted the monster. It shook, screamed, and finally dropped to the floor. Motionless smoke filled the hallway. Rourke got up slowly and looked at Lena. She smiled. He said it was the key to making them regret everything. He laughed even though he was hurt. You're your mother's daughter." With the monster down, Rourke unlocked the main gate. The big metal door opened slowly, showing a long tunnel with blinking lights. At the end of that tunnel, Rourke said, is our way out. But before they could move, another alarm began to sound alert. Self-destruct activated. The cube had triggered the fortress's core system. Everything was now set to explode. "Time to run," Rourke said. He picked Lena up and sprinted down the tunnel. Lights blinked red around them. Walls shook. Fire spread behind them. Back in the command room, Goran watched in horror. "No." He shouted, "Stop it! Stop it!" But nothing could stop it now. The fortress was falling apart. The power systems failed. The walls cracked. Flames covered every corner. Goran grabbed his weapon and ran toward the escape chamber. But it was too late. The mountain exploded in fire. At the end of the tunnel, Rourke reached a hidden door. He slammed it open and jumped inside. A ladder led up to the surface. He climbed fast with Lena on his back. They reached the top. The sky above them was dark, filled with smoke. Then dash, boom. The mountain behind them exploded like a volcano. Fire lit up the sky. The entire Zarnok fortress was gone. Lena watched with wide eyes. "Did we do that?" she asked. Rourke nodded. "Yes, good," she said. He smiled and pressed a button on his wrist. "Ghost Talon, come get us." The Ghost Talon flew smoothly through the night sky. The stars shone bright, and the wreckage of the Zarnok fortress was already far behind them. The sound of the ship's engines hummed quietly, the only noise breaking the silence inside the cockpit. Commander Rourke sat in the pilot's seat, his eyes on the controls. Lena was beside him, looking out the small window at the stars. She didn't speak much. She was tired, but safe. Rourke's heart was still racing from the last few minutes. He had saved his daughter. The nightmare was over. But the mission wasn't. "Finished yet? Where are we going, Dad?" Lena asked, breaking the silence. Rourke looked at her. "We're going to get you home." She smiled, but he saw the worry in her eyes. She was still afraid. It was hard for her to understand that they weren't out of danger yet. "You're not scared anymore?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "I'm with you. I'm not scared." He smiled softly and pressed a button, sending the signal back. To the Terran command, above the planet, the Zarnok war fleet had already begun to regroup. They had lost everything: the fortress, their weapons, and many of their soldiers. But the Zarnok didn't give up easily. They were warriors, and they always fought back. General Shorak stood in the command room of the flagship, his red eyes filled with anger. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "We cannot let them escape. We will hunt them down. They will pay for this humiliation." He looked at the map showing the path the Ghost Talon had taken. "Intercept them before they reach the Terran colonies." Rourke didn't know they were being hunted. He only knew he had to get Lena to safety. His eyes were on the ship's path, but his thoughts were on her. He had to keep her safe. "I'm sorry for everything, Pina," he said quietly. "Shouldn't have left you." She turned and smiled, her face soft and trusting. "I know you're here now. That's all that matters." He nodded, feeling a small weight lift from his chest. He had been so afraid that she would hate him for not being there, for not saving her mother, but now he had done what he came to do. The ship's sensors beeped. Rourke frowned and looked at the screen. "Ghost Talon to command. This is Commander Rourke. We're on course to reach the Terran colonies. No threats detected. Over." Voice crackled through the radio. "Commander Rourke, this is Terran. Command. We've received reports of Zarnok warships in the area. They're on their way to intercept you. We can't offer support at this time." Rourke's eyes narrowed. The Zarnok were coming for them. He had no choice but to face them head on. He turned to Lena. "Hold on tight, Pina." She looked at him with wide eyes. "Are we going to fight them?" He gave her a quick smile. "I hope not." But deep down, he knew it wasn't going to be that easy. The Zarnok fleet had found them. A dozen warships were closing in fast. They were huge, their dark armor glinting in the light of the stars. They were ready to destroy the Ghost Talon and take Rourke and Lena back. "Ghost Talon, prepare for battle," Rourke said, his voice calm. We've got company. He switched the ship to battle mode. The Ghost Talon was equipped with weapons, but it wasn't made for open combat. It was a stealth ship, designed to get in and out without being detected. But now Rourke would have to fight his way through. "Lena," Rourke said, turning to his daughter. "Stay low. Stay in the back. I'll handle this." She nodded and crawled into a small compartment behind the pilot's seat. Rourke focused on the controls. The Zarnok warships opened fire first, sending a wave of energy blasts toward the ship. The Ghost Talon shook as the shields took the first hit. Rourke gritted his teeth and fired the ship's return weapons, dodging and weaving through the enemy fire. He wasn't just going to escape. He wasn't just going to survive. He was going to make them pay. Outside, the battle raged. The Ghost Talon dodged blast after blast, moving faster than the Zarnok ships could track. Rourke's skills as a pilot were sharp, but the Zarnok were relentless. He continued to fire, closing in on their target. A warning light flashed on. The control panel. Rourke looked at the readout. The shields were failing. Ship wouldn't last much longer if they didn't break away from the enemy. "I'm not losing you." "What, Lena?" he muttered, his voice filled with determination. The Ghost Talon was fast, but the Zarnok warships were relentless. One ship broke through the shields and fired at the cockpit as the blast hit the side of the ship, sending Rourke flying from his seat. The ship shook violently. Lena's voice echoed from the back compartment. "Dad, are you okay?" "I'm fine," Peanut, Rourke said, pulling himself back up. "Hold on." He reached for the controls. The ship was damaged, but it could still fly. He hit a few buttons, activating the emergency thrusters. The Ghost Talon shot forward like a comet, dodging. Another blast. The Zarnak warships followed. Rourke had one trick left. He activated the stealth mode once again, making the Ghost Talon disappear from the Zarnak ship's radar. The Zarnak ships were now flying blind. "Goodbye," Rourke said, grinning. "This is our chance." As the Ghost Talon slipped into the shadows of space, the Zarnok fleet couldn't keep up. Rourke had one. The ship flew into the deep, cold silence of space, far from the reach of the Zarnok. "Dad." "We did it," Lena said, her voice filled with awe. Rourke smiled and looked over at her. "We sure did, Peanut." He sat back in his chair, his heart still racing. But for the first time in a long while, he felt at peace. They had escaped. The Ghost Talon drifted silently through the cold blackness of space. The stars shined bright ahead, but Rourke couldn't relax. He glanced at the damaged control panel. The ship was still functional, but it was a close call. Lena sat beside him, her face calm, but with a small smile of relief. They were safe for now. "Where are we going, Dad?" she asked softly, her voice quieter than before. It was hard to believe that she was still so brave. "We're heading to a Terran safe zone," Rourke said, his voice calm but steady. "We'll get you home, to Earth." She nodded but didn't say anything. Her eyes stared out of the small window at the endless space ahead. It was hard for her to understand that their fight wasn't over, but Rourke knew better. They had to keep moving, or the Zarnok would find them again. He pressed a button on the control panel, sending a message to Terran Command. Message sent. Ghost Talon en route. Major damage. No immediate threats. Daughter safe. Will report soon. Rourke out. Rourke sat back in his chair and took a deep breath. He had done his job. He had saved Lena. Now, all that was left was to get her back to Earth. Back at Terran Command, the message came through. Captain Nyla read it and smiled. She knew Rourke wouldn't fail. He never did. He did it, she whispered to herself. He really did it. She leaned forward and pressed a button on the console. The message would be sent across the Terran military network, warning every ship and outpost that Rourke and Lena were on their way. The Terran fleet would be ready to protect them if needed. Back on the Ghost Talon, Rourke turned to Lena, who was now holding the small pink necklace her mother had given her. It glowed faintly, a soft reminder of everything they had lost and everything they had gained. "Are you okay?" Rourke asked, his voice gentle. Lena looked up and nodded. "I'm okay. I'm just happy you're here." "You promised, remember?" Rourke smiled, his heart swelling. I always keep my promises. Lena's smile grew. I knew you would, I told them. Told who? The Zarnok guards, she said softly. I told them you were coming. And you did? Rourke's heart skipped a beat. He had no idea his daughter was so brave. I'm proud of you, Lena, he said. You're stronger than I ever imagined. She smiled shyly and looked out the window again. You saved me. Always will. Rourke felt a lump in his throat. He had been through so much. But now, holding his daughter in his arms, everything felt right. The galaxy might be a dangerous place, but at least they had each other. The Ghost Talon continued its journey, moving. Faster now, as the ship's damaged systems slowly recovered. The ship was built for stealth, and its small size made it harder to detect. But even with the stealth systems working, Rourke knew they couldn't hide forever. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped. Rourke glanced at the screen. His face hardened. What's wrong? Lena asked. We've got company, Rourke said, his voice tense. Zarnok ships. They're tracking us. Lena's eyes widened. Are they close? Rourke pressed a few buttons, analyzing the situation. The Zarnok were closing in fast, but they weren't in range yet. They had to buy themselves time. He pulled the ship into a sharp turn, making it hard for the Zarnak to lock on to them. He sent a quick message to Terran Command. Message sent. Zarnak fleet in pursuit. Request immediate support. Ghost Talon out. He set the ship to maximum speed and activated the ghost mode once again, making it invisible to the enemy radar. The Zarnok ships would have to rely on their visual sensors now. The Ghost Talon shot forward, moving like a comet, dodging asteroids and space debris. The Zarnok ships were getting closer. Rourke's heart raced as he fought to keep the ship steady. Stay low, Lena, he said, trying to keep his voice calm. We're going to outrun them. But the Zarnok were relentless. They were getting closer with every second. The Zarnok ships fired their energy blasts at the Ghost Talon, hitting the ship's shields. The ship shook from the impact. Rourke cursed under his breath. We're not going to outrun them for long, he muttered, suddenly. A flash of light filled the cockpit. Rourke turned to see a Terran fleet warship appear out of nowhere. It was huge, its sleek black hull cutting through space like a knife. The warship fired its weapons at the Zarnok ships, forcing them to pull back. The Ghost Talon flew to the side, escaping the enemy fire. Rourke breathed a sigh of relief. Terran fleet, this is Ghost Talon. We're clear for now. Copy that, Ghost Talon, came the response over the radio. We've got you covered. Welcome home. Rourke looked at Lena, who was staring out the window, her eyes filled with wonder. She had never seen the Terran fleet in action. This was a moment of victory for them both. We're safe, Peanut, Rourke said softly. We're going home. Lena nodded, her eyes bright with hope. I knew you'd do it, Dad. Rourke smiled. For the first time in a long time, he felt the weight of the universe lift from his shoulders. He had kept his promise. He had saved his daughter. And now they were going home. As the Ghost Talon flew toward Earth, Rourke sent one final message to Terran Command. Message sent, mission complete. Ghost Talon returning to Earth. Thank you for the support. The stars ahead seemed brighter. Now, Rourke looked out the window, his hand resting on the controls. His daughter was safe. They had one, and no matter what the galaxy threw at them next, he would always protect her.